Welcome to the Phoenix Zone and all things Cayman. Today I'm here with Miss Mia to discuss about the new fashion art exhibit, Island Underground, at the National Gallery. Miss Mia, thank you for joining the Phoenix Zone.
Thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate being here.
So, I understand that Jawara Alleyne is the main artist being showcased or featured in the National Gallery for Island Underground. Could you please explain or share with our viewers a little bit about Jawara?
Sure. So yes, the exhibition Island Underground is a presentation of three collections of Jawara's fashion work. So in addition to being a fashion designer, Jawara is also a visual artist. And this show, I think, really encapsulates the entirety of his creative output. So we have mannequins that are showcasing the designs from his collections, but we also have on view some of his visual art as well, his painting work. And you can even see behind us some of this amazing sort of sculptural draping that he's been doing as well. We are actually seated inside the sort of ephemera room. So in here, you really get to look inside Jawara's brain, I think. So you're seeing really his process here, the things that he's inspired by. So, on this wall that's kind of across from us, you can see images of satellite recordings of storms, silver thatch, other artists that he's been inspired by, and all of the different places where his creative practice kind of blossoms. Jawara has also really been inspired by Caymanian artists who are part of our national collection. So people like Bendel Hydes, Gladwin K. Bush are really big names for him of where, he as a young creative was getting his inspiration from. So yeah, I think Jawara is someone who really is interested in the idea of circularity in fashion. So this really sort of, I think, intrinsically Caribbean idea of reusing and repurposing and ensuring that objects kind of have second life. So in addition to using sort of secondhand and pre-loved fabrics, it's about sort of cutting and draping and rethinking how we can use everyday fabrics and garments in a new, exciting, creative way, and also push boundaries. I think, Jawara is really inspired by people who are sort of creative renegades and are expressing themselves in these really bold, big ways. So yeah, things like pirate culture and punk culture have really inspired his creative practice.
So, what was the motivation for the National Gallery to create a new exhibit on fashion?
Yeah, so I think at the National Gallery, our mission is really about showcasing the work of Caymanian and Cayman-based artists and celebrating all of the amazing output that's coming out in our community, and helping the wider community to engage with that work and with the themes of that work and with all of the self-expressive potentials of engaging with that work. And Jawara is a young Caymanian Jamaican fashion designer who, has his career has really, taken off, I think, particularly in London, where he's living and working now. Within 4 years of his brand, he is dressing Rihanna, he's dressing Dua Lipa, he's just had Nicole Kidman on the cover of a magazine wearing his clothing. So these sort of big name celebrities and big name brands, magazines like Harper's Bazaar and Vogue are really they're really giving attention to his work. And it's incredible to see a young Caymanian designer making waves like this in the fashion industry. So for us, it's all about, celebrating a Caymanian designer, but also, I think, showcasing different ways of different types of visual art. So not just things that people might normally think of when they think of art museums, like paintings or drawings or sculptural work, but fashion design as well, something that is wearable garments that are also a form of self-expression through creativity.
So, how do you think that fashion could connect with people?
Oh, that's a great question. I think fashion, again, is really all about your self-expression, right? It's about how you bring what's inside you to the outside and make that very easily visible to other people, right? So some people might enjoy wearing earth tones like greens and grays and browns because they feel like they're more of a grounded or earthy person. Some people might love, fabric that's kind of cut and torn and has this sort of punky edge to it. People who maybe have a more rebellious spirit, right? Fashion is also very functional. So, if you're someone who works out on a boat, you might be wearing fabric that's a little bit cooler or maybe has sun protection elements like big broad rimmed hats. So there's so many ways for people to engage with the fashion that they actually choose to wear. But when it comes to looking at fashion, I think, like any form of visual art, it's kind of like a mirror in a way. So you might be able to see elements of yourself in someone's clothing or in the clothing on a mannequin that speak to you in a way that you hadn't anticipated it to. So I think, fashion is like any other type of art form that we've talked about, where it's about reflecting the culture, but also continuing to push the culture forward, whether that's personal or collective.
So kind of shows what their personality could be like, what they don't like,
Yeah.
similarities to their personality.
100% showcasing personality, but also I think helping you to push yourself a little bit too. I look around this exhibition and there are times when I think, oh, I could never wear that, but actually it might be something that I would want to wear. It's about challenging yourself, I think, to be braver with your clothing choices and with the ways that you embrace who you are and allow other people to see that. It's all about building confidence, I think.
So this one's based off what you like. So what's your favorite art piece in the National Gallery?
Oh my gosh, that's a really difficult choice. I think in Jawara's exhibition, I really love his softer draped fabrics. So I think a lot of his work in the beach business collection, in particular, that collection really looks at this sort of intersection of beach culture and business culture. In Cayman, many of us are working, 9 to 5 jobs, and we're not going to the beach every single day as much as we might love to be doing that. We have this beach part of our culture, but we also have a big business side as well. And so Jawara is interested in exploring how those two things meet. And with those pieces, you get this really, you get a lot of draping movement, I think, that kind of calls to mind that beach element, but more structural things that call to mind the business element, like these collared shirts and these blouses that feel like you could wear them to the office, but they're reworked and reshaped a little bit. So I quite like that collection.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much.